We've got a session talking about partnerships, one of my big topics that I love to talk about, and who better person to speak to than Stu, who led procurement at Procter & Gamble, one of the largest companies in the world, and has gone on to now become a CEO and run another company. So he's seen the world from a supplier side as well. So Stu, we're going to get into a few questions, but firstly, how are you enjoying DPW? What's your first impressions?
Well, I think I speak for everyone who's here. It's pretty fascinating to come in and meet the people and see the technology that's on hand. It's been a reunion of sorts for me. I've got lots of P&G people here, alumni from various companies, and it's just been great to connect. But I got to tell you, I feel a little bit unarmed with the knowledge that I think I need to help win in the future, both my company and our customers. So I'm feeling humble. I am not yet feeling notorious, but I think maybe we get there later.
Brilliant, thank you. So the theme is 10x, and I think we all know that partnerships, supplier ecosystems are at the center of it. Tell me a little bit more about the business case of bringing this into an organization in terms of the power and how it drives a future organization.
Yeah, first of all, there's a difference between relationships and partnerships. Relationships can be somewhat tactical and short-term, come and go. But partnerships are enduring. And partnerships are in place to tackle really, really big issues that address not just the problems of the day or the moment, but I really think they peel the onion and get into the possibilities. Now, why is it important to do that? Because each company, each one of your companies, and the one I'm with and the one that I've been with in the past, quite frankly, didn't have all the capabilities to do what was important to win in the future. So we had to be selective in finding those who could complement us to do what was right for then our consumers, but also now our customers. So it's a bit of a diversity challenge and inclusion to figure out who to pick and how to integrate.
So, and you worked for one of the largest companies in the world. You created a program in there called Connect and Develop around the supplier collaboration side. Maybe you can give a little bit more of what was the operating model? How did you launch it, and what successes did you get?
Yeah, so I know a lot of companies here are young, maybe some are measured in months. But I came from a company that is now 187 years old. I may look like it, but I wasn't there at the beginning. I came in a little bit later. And P&G has a heritage of investing in its brands, investing in innovation, investing in the brands. And the center of all this is the consumer. And sure, we talk about other stakeholders, shareholders, and customers and employees, which are all important, but the only reason P&G's in business is to satisfy consumers day in and day out. P&G, over 187 years, the business goes up and down. And I'm sure you've probably seen that in some of your businesses. It became unsustainable to be able to provide all of the resources and talent to develop brands from the future because we ran out of money and we ran out of people. Quite frankly, there is no monopoly on cash and no monopoly on talent. So we're forced into a position to look more externally and bring the outside in to be able to develop the next generation of brands. So we started what was a major, I hate to call it program, but a corporate initiative where we declared to the outside world, including to our shareholders, that we were going to source 50% of all innovation from outside the company. And that was for brand architecture, including media and advertising. It was for product, it was for package, it was for everything that essentially we sourced and went to the market, went to suppliers, went to educational institutions, went to other different operations that were outside of our sphere. We began to be more inclusive, and we began to go to them in a different way. And that was not by giving them a specification of what we needed today, it was giving them a problem or a possibility to think about for the future. And that created a flywheel and brought people into our ecosystem to collaborate, to make investments that we couldn't make, and to bring ideas that we couldn't self-generate. So it was a highly productive program, and and initiative, and that is really in the culture of the organization and the company today.
It's been fascinating to see that innovation side come through, and I guess lots of companies would love to do that, but it's not always simple. The not invented here approach of actually going to your suppliers and bringing their innovation in can be scuppered by the internal business, and silos within the business is one of the biggest challenges of getting these programs up and running and scaling. Maybe you could talk about how you manage the silos in an organization. And
yeah, they're nasty. But I think anyone who's been, in a discipline or in a business, you fight the fight of trying to win what's right across different organizations and different business areas that also believe that they're all right. The thing is, you got to go back to the common denominator, which is back to what we're all in business to serve, and that's the consumer. And I think there's also a mindset change that happens, and it's less about silos, which can be interpreted as walls and boundaries and borders, and it's just the thicket of getting things done. Instead, if you switch the mindset and you think that each of these silos are really domains for intense mastery and capability, and you begin to think about it that way, and then you bring the magic of inclusion, things start to break down. Now, there's the approach philosophically and kind of soft, which is working across organizations. But I got to tell you have to have a little hammer to go along with the carrot, the stick and the carrot. So we, by design, and this was at the request of CEO at the time, A.G. Lafley, changed the delegation authority in the company that only purchasing had the responsibility authority to spend the company's dollars, part of our governance. It was a tough change because I think and there's lots of people who think they're buyers and think they're really good at it. And by the way, for many, many years, they actually did the job and they weren't bad at it, but it wasn't the right way for us to do business. So we changed the authority and we changed the culture, and then we brought people together.
Excellent. And that bringing of people together, we kind of move from, I guess, sometimes traditional SRM to collaboration and innovation. Maybe you can talk about the cultural change of getting into the more collaborative and innovation with suppliers and that mindset.
I think Nika gave one where the entire packaging industry in oral care was disrupted. Not us, it was just innovation that came from the industry. But I'll use a different example that's internal. I think most people will understand, and that's source to pay. We began to think around organizing around the supplier. So every discipline, every resource we had that touched the supplier, we brought them in, and the whole intent was to bring the outside in and the inside out to the supply base. And source to pay was one of those that was important part of the work process, and here's why it's important. The number one dissatisfier for our suppliers, partners, guess what? Don't pay our bills on time. Horrendous. Now, I can claim we were notorious about that, okay? But not the thing you want to be notorious about. Our partners are not banks, and we need to respect the cash flow of our partners in all of this. So we brought together the people who touched the supplier and who touched the source to pay process. It included IT, purchasing, finance, and others. And we didn't rewire the company with reporting lines. It was all about mission lines. And it's a culture thing. It's a leadership thing. And we happen to have some outstanding leaders across all of those disciplines I mentioned who are all in on the mission. And they delivered a product that I'm still proud of today. It exists. We got some people over here that still are trying to run that, improve that, and make it better. And I'm sure it is.
And I guess when you were working with those suppliers, it wasn't just the large suppliers you were working with, but smaller, more innovative ones as well. Yeah,
it's a tough trick. You've got the large guys and ladies, I guess. The big chemical companies, big packaging companies. But the more you dig down into the chain on things that are new and different, particularly in the digital area, the technical areas, you begin to find small domains that pop up. And the resistance from a big company can often be, we can't play with someone who can't scale us up immediately. There's no real means to test and learn and get in. And that's a culture change too, that if you're gonna have connect and develop, it's connect and develop with everyone, and you gotta open the door to allow people to come and talk to you about how they can create value. There are probably some people in the audience that have been part of advertising and media and the agency world, and you'll know this, the shift from mass media to digital media began to occur probably around 2009 to 2011, and really no one knew what to make of it. The brands didn't know what to make of it. IT didn't know what to make of it. And quite frankly, people who are now buying media didn't know what to make of it because we bought big. We didn't buy small, and we bought from mass. We didn't buy for the individual. So we had a company who, the name of the company was Audience Science, who came to us, and they had a platform that we could begin to engage consumers on, and it was the beginning of programmatic media buying at Procter & Gamble. It didn't get any support, none. There were some brands that were interested. The overall marketing function really believed in mass, but we had some champions. A person who was well experienced, who came from marketing, who was in purchasing, and an IT person who really believed and deeply understood. But the funding for the project came from our Global Business Services organization, which was IT. And it was assigned the dismal status of Tier 4 on the investment portfolio, and nothing happened. So we just decided we were going to go do it, all right? And I took money out of my budget, and I paid for it. Because I felt strongly that they knew what they were doing, and it was the right thing to do, which is a point. If you're going to take risk, do the right thing and have no fear, because in the end, if you've done what's right, you'll only help contribute to growth of the company and yourself. Another learning on this is when you have a big change, you still have to work on bringing people along with you. If not, you don't get the adoption that you need. I had written a P&G one-page note, and it had made its way to A.G. Lafley again, who I was close with him. And he called me in his office and said, "Tell me about this." And I told him about it, and he said, "Why don't we just go do it and scale it up? What can we do?" And I said, "Well, we're 3% of our media spend goes to digital media. I think we ought to have a target of 30%.
Wow.
10x, huh? And by when? 5 years. All right, so about an hour later, I got a call from the CMO. He said, "Hey, let's get together. I understand AG signed up for a program, and we haven't talked about it." And I said, "Okay." I got slapped with a speeding ticket, okay? Radar pulled in, more discussions back up to AG, and AG went to bat and said, "It's the right thing to do. Let's do it." But it was a relationship issue, and so it's hard. Sometimes you got to step forward and maybe leave some people behind, but you got to bring the right people along with you along the way too.
I like that bold decisions, and I'm sure you completely changed the market on that for most companies in there.
Well, I think people who are in media know about programmatic and know about cookie data and know about how that world has changed, yeah, and the cost and the reach value that has come with that model.
So as we continue on that 10x thinking and exponential thinking, where do you see partnerships and sustainability going in the next 5-10 years?
We're speaking about environmental ESG.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of talk, and it's time for some action. Really, we have more customers who talk about it, but really don't know what they're talking about, or we get multiple voices that talk different languages. I've got my team over here, my teammates. We have 2 top customers who talk to us assertively, positively, and with goals out of our entire portfolio. Two who talk about the vision, the strategies, the plans, and what they need from us. And the others, these are big companies that you would know. They're silent. So if we want to make change in sustainability, we can do it if we bring the full attention of the entire collective ecosystem to solving problems. And we can't do it one item at another. You think about packaging. You got resin, you got mold making, you got paper, you got corrugated, you got all the pieces, but it has to be solved on an inclusive and total basis, or it will go nowhere, or will only solve for one of the pieces. I really ask you to be aggressive, and not just aggressive and pounding on your partners, it's defining what they need to do.
And I have to say, you changed roles now. You're actually running a CEO, so you've moved from CPO to CEO at Truvant.
Yep.
Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that switch to the supplier side and looking at the relationship.
Yes, it's a little bit different world to be part of an organization that sells and just doesn't buy. It's a bit of different experience dealing with you. When you're on the inside as a buyer, you look at return on investment. And recently I heard from a company that we partner with, they also factor in return on agony. And it's because of the lack of engagement, the high expectations for delivery, but not really the definition of what value looks like moving forward, which really stifles the imaginative curiosity of the organization to really step forward beyond short-term problems to deliver big-term possibilities. So again, it's a different world. I want you to know that your suppliers are earnestly interested in you. They want to serve you, but sometimes they just don't know how. And so the more you can communicate, the more integrated they become, the more innovative the entire ecosystem will become, and the more value you will generate.
Brilliant. If you had a very short last tidbit for a procurement leader looking to put partnerships at the center of their business, what would that?
Yeah, I love the earlier discussion on, you're in purchasing getting prepared to be a CEO. You just don't know it. You work across brands, you work across business units, you work inside, you work outside, you learn how to communicate. I don't know what else. You know how to learn how to do finance, you know how to do operations, you think about customers, consumers, marketing, everything. So why shouldn't you stretch yourself to a higher ambition for what you can become? And I really challenge you to do that. Some of the young people who were up here earlier, there's this whole sense of I love this, but I got a little trepidation, I got a little fear. Be fearless. Do what's right, stretch for the big idea, don't go tactical, build relationships, internal and external.
Brilliant. Stu, I could speak to you for another hour, but we don't have the time for that. But Stu's going to be around for the next day as well, so please do spend some time, speak to Stu. I think he'd be more than happy to share some of his knowledge on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time today, and thank you to have me back as well.
Thank you.